You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Is there a secret underground base in Dulce, New Mexico? Up next, the crypto hunter John Rhodes sheds some light on that for us on Coast to Coast AM. John Rhodes, the UFO Hunters with my good friend Bill Burns, you recently appeared on that program talking about a suspected secret underground base in Dulce, New Mexico. Tell me a little bit about that. And did you have fun, John, doing that show?
Oh, absolutely. You know, the crew's a blast, and the team itself is thorough and really open-minded. It was fun to be there with a cast and crew that could do such a good job. We had an interesting time there, learned a lot, and there were a lot of new revelations that took place there. And finally, the idea of an underground genetics laboratory where genetic research is being done, as well as other types of photoanalysis research, it's very much piquing the awareness now, and it's a good discussion.
Tell me a little bit about what they asked you about.
Well, basically, I got up there with the guys and showed them the actual patents for this. When we talked about the Dulce base, I showed them the floor plans of the Dulce base as described by the whistleblower Thomas Costello, who originally reported the existence of the base. He was there working, and when he decided to leave there after a number of years of being employed there, he took with him objects and evidence of the base, including videotape footage, photographs, and documents, as well as what they called a flash gun. And he retreated from that area and hid those, and then he disappeared. And the story of the base has gotten out over a number of years, but in my position there with the show, I was showing how when people go there to report having been taken on board some sort of a train or being transported at high speeds from one location to another, how we had the actual maps and documents, as I provided on your show previously, of the RAND corporations talking about super-fast maglev trains underground, and also was able to provide them photographs of a subterranean being tested. This is one of the tunneling machines that melts through rock, because, you know, rock, even granite, actually melts at about 2012 degrees Fahrenheit. And so these tunnels have been designed using this equipment. And they looked at the floor plans of the base as described by Thomas Costello, and we kind of did a breakdown on what is supposedly going on in each level.
You know, John, these underground bases have always fascinated me since the beginning of time. And the question is, who knows about it? How do they know about it? How long have they been built and everything else? Why there, though? Why Dulce?
Well, one of the things that researchers in the area of underground research have found out is that one of the best places that the government has secured for itself for building underground bases is on American Indian land, because it started many years ago, and only a few of the perhaps tribal elders were ever co-opted, or they ever, maybe perhaps they didn't even know about what was going on, but agreements were made in some cases, and operations took place on those lands, because if anybody came sneaking around, that's tribal Indian territory. They don't have to abide by U.S. laws. They have a law of their own. You can even get you can get local law enforcement, because the tribes have their own law enforcement, but we're not going to get any state or federal law enforcement getting on those lands looking around if they thought somebody reported, oh, there's an underground base in there, or George Norrie wanted to pick up his backpack and go traveling across that land. You couldn't exactly do it to see if there's any validity to some of these reports coming in. So they've concealed themselves very well. And there are several locations, one of which is, in the Page area of Arizona, and also in the Grand Canyon, and I believe that there's one outside the Grand Canyon caverns.
How long
over the place.
How long have they been working on this, John?
Well, at least when geological exploration first took place in large ways, meaning petrochemical research. When they were looking for oil, they were looking underground, and they were using all kinds of the newest technologies to find cavities underground that could be containing oil. I believe at that time they were discovering more and more of these lost or abandoned or even perhaps occupied underground cavities inside the earth, in which artifacts were discovered from lost civilizations, perhaps even evidence of off-world cultures was discovered there, because I believe that if there are truly extraterrestrials visiting Earth, which I believe to be the case, they would probably have some sort of a parking lot down there where they could pull in and park, and everybody can get out and do their thing, maybe for 3 or 4 years before going back light years away, or, wait, at least spending a long trip going home. And so these places that have been out there, some of them are new. There was, during the 1950s with the Cold War with Russia, there was a large-scale push to be able to build underground bunkers for the survival of our government in case of a nuclear war. The Soviets expanded theirs extensively, and the best country in the world is Sweden, and their underground cities that they have for most of their populations. Here in the United States, even though we're being told we're at threat level orange or this, that, and the other, and that we're expecting nuclear strike on cities at any time, I haven't seen anybody on the air actually encouraging American citizens to start doing what our parents or our grandparents were told to do, which is, hey, get together with your friends, build a small bunker in your backyard or something like that. They were giving us advice about civil preparedness then, but it seems to be mysteriously quiet at a time like now.
Well, there was paranoia then, John. My gosh.
Well, there was paranoia, but at the same time, one of the ways we can pull our economy up is by reinventing America. We need to start doing something where we all can feel a good sense of national pride. We can start having new technologies emerge. Hopefully one day we would even be able to have open contact with an inner-Earth culture so we can establish cultural and technological exchange so we can save our planet. I don't believe that I believe it is needless when we know that there's an extraterrestrial presence here on our planet. It's needless for us to think that they're just sitting. I mean, I just don't believe that they're sitting back there not thinking that in some way they could participate. It might be only after disasters take place, but if we reinvent America and at least reveal some of those technologies that have been underground by the military-industrial complex, we could do amazing things. We have the greatest artists. We have the greatest engineers. We could do remarkable things. And building those underground bases and cities is really the way to go. I've said it before, the maglev train systems sound frightening, but it certainly is, what our best scientific minds came up with. There's no other transportation that we've even been shown that can take us from one location like the coast to coast in 20 minutes. So, we need to start employing these things, and the underground base aspect of it is just an example of exactly how great it could get. The Mount Weather and the Greenbrier Hotel, which they showed on the show, was a great example of what was provided to our leadership. But, we're way, way, way beyond that at this point.
And I don't have a problem with governments building underground facilities to protect the nation. You need some organization. You need some...
Absolutely, we do.
So I don't have a problem with that. But what is the reptilian tie-in with these underground bases, John?
Well, the reptilian humanoids are said to be just one of the participants of a multi-species agreement that have culminated in the activities taking place in Dulce. And because I said it on the show, which is an important statement for everybody to be reminded of. Remember, if these guys can't be trusted with all our money and with these large corporations, and we've seen what they've done with our trust, if we told them that they had to abide by civil laws saying that you can't use humans without their knowledge in genetics experiments, do you think they would really abide by it? Because would you want to be the guy using the laboratory rat when some other company might have a hidden facility in which they've got some child hooked up to something, and this is going to get them, 30, 40, 50 years more advanced research than their competitors? We know in our hearts there's something like that going on, and that's the terrifying thing about Dulce. is because we know if it's not Dulce, it's somewhere, and there are victims.
Is part of the problem, John, that maybe you sense the clock is ticking and that something could happen?